We outside again. You're listening to HBCU Corner with the Urban Sports Scene. I'm Wole, and I'm joined by my guy, my homie, Ray. Also, HBCU Corner is also part of Black Sports Insiders. What's going on, Ray?
Trying to keep up with you, my friend. Let's do this. HBCUs. You always on the air, my guy. Always.
Oh, yeah, I try, man. You ain't work. If you ain't out there, you can't put your stuff out there, man. You know what time it is, man. Trying to be, I'm getting exhausted though. It's exhausting. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I tell you, man.
You can also check us out at www.urbansportscene.com. That's our website. We got a dope guest for y'all for real. We had this individual on before, so we're gonna have him live on HBCU Corner. So make sure y'all pay attention because it's gonna be some dope content. And subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and other podcast platforms. Just search the Urban Sports Scene.
Also, make sure if you feel so moved, is to subscribe to our Urban Sports Scene YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube now and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Also, like this video. And don't forget to hit us up on X at Urban Sports Scene. Check us out on Instagram or IG at Urban Sports Scene. And also check out our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page.
Yeah, hit us up on TikTok as well at Urban Sports Scene too, man.
That's true. My bad. I apologize.
No, you good, bro. You good. Also, join our Urban Sports Scene Facebook group. Search Urban Sports Scene, sports bloggers, sports podcasters, and sports debates. Like I don't lie, I told you I got a we got a fantastic guest, man. No lies told over here. Right now, we have Dale State's men's basketball coach Stan Waterman. Let me put him into the queue. I gotta actually make this correct.
Give him his box. Give him his.
I know I gotta give him his box. Man. You know what I'm saying? It's gotta be proper. We can't have it all sloppy looking. We gotta have his box out here. We gotta have his box, and we gotta make sure he here for real. Like you know what time it is. We got it. What's going on, Coach?
Hey, it's good, man. All good. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Well, we're glad to have you back. You know what I mean?
It's been a minute since the MEAC tournament. So
we had him a little bit after that, though. We had him after the MEAC tournament.
Right after the MEAC tournament.
Yeah, right after. Yeah, so it's great. We're glad to have you back on. So, but first, how has like this season gone so far for you?
So far, so good, man. We're off to a pretty good start. The early portion of our season is always tough. You know, we try to put together the toughest non-conference schedule we can to prepare us for that rugged road we'll be facing once we get into MEAC play. So we've been through the likes of Virginia Tech and Providence and Texas and Columbia and University of Delaware. So we've had some really, really tough non-conference games that we hope will prepare us. And then we've had a chance where we've had some successful. So we're 5-6 right now. Heading into a big-time tournament this weekend. We'll be in the CP3 HBCU Classic up in Mohegan Sun. So we're looking forward to that.
I know you are. I know it's exciting times for the program. So before we get into the actual into the season, you had an interesting offseason, though, to be honest with you. You had to replace some talented dudes, especially some guys who really performed well in the MEAC tournament. But you also got some hoopers back, like in terms of transfer portal. You got some ballers. You have the Watson twins that are there now, and also you have Robert Smith, who's a hooper. First, can you just talk about your new additions?
Yeah, so as you mentioned already, the portal hit us hard. I mean, we only had one senior last year, so we thought we might be running it back, bringing back a full squad, a year older, a year stronger, a year better and ready to go. But we got hit. Our rookie of the year, ended up at the College of Charleston. We had another all-league player, ended up at Florida Gulf Coast. My sixth man, who plays as much as a starter, ended up at Southern Missouri. So out the door they went with the portal. But then what we did learn from the portal was that door swings both ways. And as guys leave, it's an opportunity to bring some in. And like you said, we've reloaded with the likes of Kareem and Kasim Watson, the two twins, both at 6'8", 6'9", pretty versatile players, can put it on the deck, can shoot it from the perimeter, can guard multiple positions. So they've been nice additions. Robert Smith, a.k.a. Man. He's a walking bucket, can score the basketball. And hasn't met a shot yet that he didn't like. He's putting it up. Giving us some instant offense. We added Munir Newton, another transfer from Albany. And Munir's at 6'5", 6'6", that tweener. We had some trouble with the likes of the Shy Harrises of Howard and guys like that last year. Now we think we might have an answer for some of that stuff that we're a little bit better.
No, it seems like you reloaded. Like that was my concern. Ray and I were talking about this, like when we saw who transferred. You know what I mean? We were like, "Dang, he's had and they were young." So Ray knows this. Like watching the tournament, I was so impressed with you all. like thoroughly. Like I was so impressed with you all, and just because one, you're coaching, I think you're a phenomenal coach, and
Thank you.
like you guys you were young, like you didn't have that many, like you were young. And I'm like, okay, this is a good learning experience for next season. Like, all right, this season, this what happened to MEAC tournament, getting to the championship game will be a good experience for a good learning lesson for next year. So when I saw that these two individuals, like the two individuals I'm referring, these two individuals transferred, the ones that I saw, I was like, oh no. On the flip side, looking at what you guys brought in, I'm like, okay, it still worked out.
Well, much like you, I was feeling the same way initially, wondering how do you replace that kind of production that we got from those young guys. And again, we thought the experience that we had in the MEAC tournament last year, making that run and getting to the finals and being just 2.5 minutes away from the NCAA tournament, we were feeling really good and optimistic about this next go round. Now, to have a little bit of experience and to respond a little differently, but to have to reload and have to retool, we feel like we've done a good job. We're different, but I think we have the potential to be even better.
But in terms of like the experience, you got a guy that was on that team. I'm glad that he's eligible for this year, to be honest with you. And Martez Robinson, he's such a leader, a backbone of your team, a tough kid, tough, gritty kid. How big was to have him back, and also how big is to have him as part of being a leader on your basketball team?
Huge, Coach. I can't put it into words how significant that was. That might have been our biggest recruitment or signing of the all season with bringing Martez back. And as you guys know, there were reports out there early on that he was gone. And I was worried, scratching my head, twiddling my thumbs, like, how do you replace that? And, the whole time he was saying, Coach, I know the reports are out there. He said, but I'm coming back. I'm loyal to you. I'm going to be there. And sure enough, he's here, and we are happy he's here. And if I could take a second, when I talk about Martez, and I've been saying it to almost anybody that would listen at this point, this young man has matured both on and off the floor, like exponentially. I mean, as a player, he's complete. He can score it. He plays. He's tough. He's got good leadership. But off the floor, when that young man walks across the stage and gets his diploma in May, I told his mom I may shed more tears than she will because I'll just be happy with what he's done. He's been incredible for us.
Yeah, I just knew his toughness. For me, like just to come bounce back from the knee injury in the tournament and to play in the championship game, like knowing you knew that knee wasn't right. And for him to put all that work just a day after, like we're talking about back to back, like just the semis, and then all of that following day, you got to play the championship game, and you knew that knee wasn't right. And for him to suck it up and just to play hard, you know what I mean, play well. To be honest with you, that's all I need to know about him. That's all I needed to know about him.
Well, that's one of the things I love about him. It's one of those things you can't really measure, right? It's not a statistic for his toughness, but he's a Baltimore City kid. He's a tough kid. He's gritty. He's a competitor. And just what you saw is what we saw as coaches and is what we love about him. And he brings that to our team, and we're happy to have it. Because without it, I'm not sure where we might get it from.
Coach, we joked with you last time you came on that we went to the rival school, UMES, and it was so wild to see you have that run in the tournament. And I told you, I said, Delaware State, the crowd showed up. Like your people showed up for that championship game. Even before that, they came out. And I was so impressed. Then when the girls won the volleyball championship, I saw that again. I'm like, wow. So we got to still deal with these Delaware State folks this season. But at the same time, you were that close, as you mentioned. And yet Howard is picked to finish first in the MEAC. You're picked to finish fifth. Do you really pay attention to that type of stuff? How'd that make you feel, the preseason rankings?
Well, no, it's motivation, right? It fuels the fire. I think, if you're Howard and you're Norfolk State, they've ruled the roost for the last couple of years. And until somebody beats them, then they deserve to have those accolades. But it's preseason stuff. It's talk. Like I said, we'll use it as motivation, putting us in the middle of the pack. Hopefully that makes it that much sweeter if we're able to finish above that and exceed expectations. But it gives us something to shoot for.
Oh, you coach, you've been real modest. If it was me, I'd be pissed. I ain't gonna lie to you. If I got to the championship game, I get Howard because they won it, right? But in Norfolk, I guess I can kind of get it, whatever. But like, I at least be third. At least put me third. That's how I look at it. I'm not gonna lie to you. At least I know what you're talking about in terms of the resume, but at least you got to put me third. You got to slide me third.
I hear you. But we had so many unknowns, like you said, with the significant losses that we had. I'm sure people are not sure what we will look like or just how good we'll be. So it's a safe pick to put us in the middle of the pack.
Okay. All right. Okay. I like the PC answer. I like it.
Yeah. I definitely would use that as bulletin board material myself. But moving forward, you got hot at the right time last season. Everybody has said that. We've interviewed multiple coaches. You know how this show goes. And everybody said, man, Delaware State got hot in the tournament. And now it was great to see. I think this camaraderie amongst coaches. But for you, do you have a preference? Now that you've experienced that, you got hot near the end. If you were to replicate that but not play your best basketball, let's say right now, would you prefer that, or you just want to play your best basketball throughout the season?
Well, no, as a coach, that's always been my goal. You prepare, you enter every season, and you certainly are not going to be playing your best basketball in November, December. You hope, you learn, you grow, you improve over the course of the season, and then you want to peak and get hot at that time when you get down to a conference tournament where it's one weekend. And it's not about who's played the best during the season. It's who's playing the best right now. So that's when we want to be playing our best. That's our optimal time. And so it clicked for us last year. And I'm hoping that the same recipe will work for us again this year.
Yeah. So speaking of like you started the season, you mentioned like 5 and 6, but also, you're still prepping your team. Like you said, you're prepping your team to get to that point, to be hot towards the stretch of to the end of the season, to that stretch, that championship stretch. What would it take for you guys to make it back to the MEAC championship game?
Good question. Good question. And I think one, we got to build some chemistry and cohesion among the guys. I think what we're doing right now is establishing and implementing our foundation, what kind of team we want to be defensively. That's where it all starts. I think defense travels. You can be good at home. You can be good on the road as long as you guard. We're undefeated at home right now, where we're making the Nest a nice place to play. And I say nice for us, tough for all of you guys coming in here. We want it to be the toughest place to play in the country. So that's what we're trying to do there. And then, like I said, if we can guard, we feel like we can go on the road and play anywhere and be in the game. And then if you make some shots, you got a chance to win. So I think we got to be able to defend. We got to come together and continue to share the ball offensively. And stay healthy. Stay healthy. That's always a big key.
So playing against some of these PWIs, like what did you learn about your team in that process? What did you learn?
Well, I'll tell you this for sure. We got a group of fighters. They don't quit. They play until that final buzzer goes off, whether they're down 20 or up 10. They're going to play until the final horn. And I like that. If you don't quit, you're going to give yourselves a chance. And so that's the number one thing I learned about these guys. The other thing I think I've learned is we got some depth. It's going to be a different guy every night. I mean, we got the guys, Martez, what he's going to give you. We're looking for man to score it. But we got different guys who've made contributions. We got Corey Perkins back, who missed most of last season, our point guard with a broken hand. He's been back. He's been steady and stabilizes things for us in the backcourt. Kasim Watson has already demonstrated, I think, even against some of the big boys, that he can score the basketball. We're getting solid play from our bigs, Raymond Somerville and Austin Andrews. And then we got one young man, one of our top recruits who has not seen the floor yet. And so we're excited about him sort of making his debut. Javarzier Belton, and he's 6'11", 250. Not a whole lot of guys like him in the MEAC. So I'm excited about that and waiting for him to make his debut.
Where's he from?
He's from Northeast Oklahoma, originally home from South Carolina. Big fella.
Okay.
Wow.
Ray knows I always say like height in the MEAC is a good thing. It's a very good thing.
Guard plays, if you get good guard play, you got a chance. If you get good guard play and you got a nice big, then you can kind of rise above the pack.
I totally agree with that.
I agree with that. And you mentioned the word toughness, and you mentioned Bryce Harris, that's what he brings to the table. So you got to be tough to win that MEAC tournament for sure.
No question about it.
So for you, I mean, you're as a coach, obviously you're gonna love so many things about your team. But what is like your favorite thing that you love about your ball club right now?
Well, I think again we talk about trying to build chemistry and cohesion and the bonding. We had a great summer. Our strength and conditioning has been solid, but just the amount of time that our guys are spending together off the court. You go into the dining hall, they're together. It's a pretty tight-knit group. And I think that's going to speak well for us as we move along in the season. I think you can see it on the floor defensively. We were talking the other day. They're doing some things. They're a little bit further along just because they're covering for each other and they have each other's back. So it's important to have that bonding and that chemistry. I think that will go a long way to us becoming a better team.
And so far, if you had to say what does this team have in common with last year's team? I know you said it's different, so we know it's different, but what do they have in common from last year's team?
I think, and I'm hoping I'm right on this, there's a resiliency about them. Like they find a way. And you always say that, like, good teams, anybody can lose, but tough guys find a way to win. And they do, whether it's getting a stop or getting a bucket or coming up with a loose ball, they find a way. And I think we had that last year, and I hope it's the team taking on the personality of the coaches and the coaching staff. And that's what we do here. You know, we find a way. Whatever it is, we're going to find a way to make it work. And we're getting them to do the same thing on the floor, trying to get them to do that on the floor.
Awesome. All right, so you mentioned it. Thursday, your team goes down to Connecticut to take on Grambling in Chris Paul's HBCU Classic. First off, are you excited about this opportunity playing in the HBCU Classic?
Of course.
Very excited about that. Very excited about that. I mean, last 2 years, we played in the Legacy Classic. So these types of events where you get to represent your university and represent your state. And in this case, you got a MEAC, SWAC kind of challenge. So you're representing your league. We are excited about that. Now, we went down to Atlanta and we got Grambling last year. So I know they're going to be ready and they're going to be loaded and excited about the chance to get back. So that should be a good game in itself. But just to have the opportunity to represent the MEAC and represent Delaware State in an event like that, we're grateful for the opportunity.
What threats does Grambling pose for you all?
They're so big and strong and athletic. I think you can't allow them to out-athlete you. I think if you run your stuff and you can control the tempo, we want to run when it's there, but we got to be able to execute. But I think we got to play with the physicality where, you don't get bullied around the floor or around the court. I think that's the biggest thing, and it's one of the things we've taken some pride in, so hopefully we'll show up with that.
All right, because you got Alabama State on Friday too, so we sweeping them, right? We take them both.
I won't make any predictions.
All right, okay. I'll stay for it. We take them both, right?
All right. That's the hope. That's the hope.
You know what I'm saying? We wrapping the MEAC over here for this one. Yeah, we're taking both. For this one, we're taking both. But Ray, you want to add anything to this, Ray?
No, man. I just wish you good luck. Of course, we'll see you out throughout the course of the season, and it's going to be fun to see your team evolve. Every school is going through what you guys are facing with roster turnover, transfer portal. So you already know you kind of on equal footing from that standpoint. The way your team got hot last year, I know many are watching to see if you can replicate that. So it's going to be fun.
Well, thank you. Now, I appreciate the interest, and can you guys keeping us relevant and out there. We look forward to the opportunity. So please have us back, man. We love to get on and represent and talk Delaware State basketball.
Oh, I do want to add this, but I do want to say this, though, because I just feel like, and maybe I'm being biased, I feel like the MEAC, in terms of HBCU conferences, have like the best coaches. And I just feel like yourself, you got Coach Jones, you got Coach Blakeney, you got Brodus in Morgan State, Coach Moten in Central. Like, there's a plethora of great coaches. I know I'm missing out on somebody else, but there's a plethora of great coaches in the MEAC. Do you feel like this, in terms of in HBCU, in terms of the HBCU landscape, you all have the best coaches in terms of
of course, I'll say that. And number one, because of familiarity. Like, I've known these guys and I've watched these guys coach. And as you mentioned, Rob Jones, Kenny Blakeney, Lavelle Moten, these guys, Kevin Brodus, they're all legends in their own right as far as coaches and what they've done with their program. So just to be mentioned with those guys is a compliment, and I take that as a feather in my cap. Iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah.
And so to be in that company, I'm hoping that we'll be able to compete with them and beat them a few times. That's my goal.
Yeah.
And so if we can do that, then we will be successful. I know there's some great coaches in the SWAC and at some other HBCUs too, but I'm familiar with these guys, and I know the talent level, and I know the work ethic that they bring, and that's why their programs are the way they are.
Yeah,
it was all barn burners last year, man. The regular season and tournament, it was stressful, I'm sure, as a coach, but that's exciting for the fans to watch, and for us that are covering you guys. Yeah. It was cool to watch, but especially with Norfolk, y'all battled them so hard in the regular season, and I know, like I said, they're looking forward to you. You kind of got a target though, so you got to be prepared for that.
Well, I don't think we'll be able to sneak up on anybody, but
Yeah.
it's not just the MEAC tournament. I mean, that's the regular season. It's night in,
Yeah.
night out on any
Yep.
given night. You got to bring it. If you're not ready, you know, you can get your block knocked off. So
No, I
it's some
see.
great
I
coaching,
see.
some great basketball, and it's why we're excited to be a part of it.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you for being on. Again, we're gonna definitely be tapping in, so don't worry about that. That's gonna be
Yeah,
a
for
thing. We're
sure.
gonna tap in. All right, and we're gonna try to get Tez too. So like,
Okay.
we tapping into the program. Don't get it twisted. We here.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate you all. Thank you all for all that you do. Happy holidays to you,
Same here.
and look forward to
Thanks,
seeing you soon.
All right, take care. Okay.
All right,
Thank you,
man.
All
man.
right. All right. Awesome, man. That's dope, man. He was dope. He's always dope, man. He's a real cool guy. I actually think he's one of he's climbing up that MEAC coaching tree for real.
Yeah, I wanted to say while he was on, I mean, I'll give you credit because it wasn't just the tournament. It was before the tournament. You said
Yeah.
you liked him as a sleeper. So you saw something in that team that many didn't.
Oh yeah, before the tournament. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I remember watching them at Howard last year, and Howard beat them pretty good at Howard. But I said Tavares went off. I'm like, man, homeboy, he was relentless in how he was
Yeah.
scoring the basketball, and of course Montez Robinson was balling, but it's just Howard at the
And
time. I
then
mean,
you got
Howard had a big group, and
Muniz
they were
too,
tough.
right? And then you got Muniz too.
Yeah, he did. I think he was out
That's probably
that game, so he missed that game at Howard.
Mhm.
Or either that or he was quiet, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he was injured that game. But at the same time, I was like, man, I like what their guards are doing, but I did not foresee the tournament run. I picked Central as my sleeper, and when they played Central, I'm like, I don't think they can out hustle Central, and they ended up being a harder working team. And Coach Moten gave nothing but respect out of that
He
game.
did
So
too. He
he
did.
saw that these
He
guys were
did.
getting hot at the right time. Coach Jones said that here. He said that on our show. He said they got hot at the right time.
Yeah.
And then that championship game, man, if Tavares, I think, had another year under his belt of experience, I think if he was a sophomore and he was a little more confident, then they might have been
Yeah.
able to pull it out because it was so tight.
Yeah. I just think that year, like they were just more they were more I mean, that tournament, they were more skilled than most of the teams. Like guard play. I'm talking about guard, like guards 2 to 3. Like they were just more skilled in terms of the versatility of what they could do off the bounce. Like they can create their own shot pretty easily. All three of them could, you know what I mean? And I thought that played a part on their run. Because, you know, just like Ray, we talk about this all the time with not even HBCU basketball. We talk about it in just tournament basketball. Guard play is essential, bro. Like you got somebody who could just take on the challenge and take it on. There you go. And they just had guard play. I mean, I looked up in terms of when I said called them a sleeper, I was doing it was more on research and, you know, reading up and looking at things, to be real with you, which is what it was. And I just put 2 and 2 together. I just like the guard play, and I put like my own formula of what I thought, like, all right, this is what typically does well in a tournament setting. But when I watched them in person, it was more than that too. It was more grit and it was skill. It was a little bit of everything. And it was tenacity too, because some of those games, some of their best players weren't shooting well, but they still stuck with it, and they played well, and they still pulled some of those games out. So those losses, like I felt like when we heard that like Muniz and Tavares were going to transfer, it was like, oh snap.
Yeah, you know what? We don't like it, but I'm sure there were good reasons behind it, including the good NIL money that comes with transferring. So I understand, but they had a chance to do something special. But they moved on, and I'd be remiss. I want to say you mentioned the MEAC coaches. Our new coach at UMES, Cleo Hill Jr. He has a chance to do something special with UMES. I think it's going to take him a couple years.
Yeah.
This season, he had to put together a roster at the last minute. And he's got some guys he's familiar with. But I'll give him another 2 years. And then you talk about 7 out of 8 teams with just really strong coaches. It's going to be crazy. Coppin,
South Carolina
of course, Coppin
State,
got a new,
South Carolina State coach he had a good year last year.
Well, yeah, that's why I said 7 out of 8.
Yeah,
7 out of 8. I think Coppin, that's something that's evolving. You replace a guy like Juan Dixon, who the brand of basketball he played, he was either going to get blown out or he was going to win by a few points. He didn't really play that type of style where he could beat you in the trenches. He had a sort of 3-point shooting team. Replacing him, which I was kind of surprised of that being his history and where he's from, I thought they would keep him as long as he wanted to be there. But anyway, we'll see what happens this year. I know that Coach Waterman though is motivated by being picked to finish 5th. He's a humble dude though. He's not going to tell us on camera. But when I saw it, I was like, wow. Like, hold up now. I get some teams you can put ahead of them. Like he said, the top 2.
I get
Norfolk, Norfolk always does well in the regular season. They're ranked.
Yeah.
Howard back-to-back champions. But come on now. Like you said,
I think
third.
you got to be at least you gotta respect getting to the championship game. You just gotta respect it. Like you gotta put that in your ranking. But because even for real, if you watch, we just talked about the Celebration Bowl. We just, those teams and where their preseason ranking was. FAMU was ranked number 1 in the SWAC East.
Yeah, based off same
And
thing.
based on winning a
But you're right though.
championship.
And it should have been based off
It
that.
should
You're
have
right.
been
Even though
based
they
off.
had
That's
a
what I'm
ton of
saying.
turnover. They had a lot of
Exactly.
turnover
That's
too.
what I'm saying. They had turnover.
Their whole athletic department was.
Yeah.
Again, it's about respect. So he's
Yeah.
going to go out there. His team is going to go out there and earn it. But the dude he described, now forgive me, I don't know his name, but he said he's from Oklahoma and originally from South Carolina. He sound like he's built like Zion, like 6'5".
Yeah, he sound like he said he
wrote.
Look, because and for him, look at they didn't have that last year. Their guys were a little bit more slim. They were slim, and I would say they were like 6'8", 6'7", like their bigs were like 6'8", 6'8", 6'7" ish.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So this is different. You know what I mean? Especially now if you got, Martez as the scorer. Martez still leads his team in scoring. I think second is Smith in scoring for them. So and then like you said, like they got me. He did a good job replacing. I mean, I'll say that much. He did a good job replacing.
I can't wait, man. Come January is when MEAC play starts up. Matter of fact, they'll be here mid-January to play Howard. I cannot cover that game though. I already got my schedule mapped out, so I won't be there to see them then. But hopefully we can get down that way. It's a lot of schools that we have not made it to their gym. We always are. Yeah, Jackson State. Well, in terms of basketball. Yeah, that's the swag. Yeah, to be real with you, Jackson State. I don't know if I consider them a top basketball team in the SWAC. I really don't. Grambling obviously made the tournament last year. They got some good guys returning. I think Alabama State looks a lot better. We've had their coach on this show. And TJ Matlock is playing pretty good this season. They've competed in some games against some bigger schools. But I know you would probably think Jackson State is better than Bama State. I would agree with that. And Southern, you got Southern. Now you talk about
Southern's strong, bro.
Southern is strong.
Southern's the team. You about to say Southern is the team.
It don't matter who they play. They're going to bring it. So Jackson State, yeah, they might be in a discussion. I like Mo Williams. And Mo Williams is, of course, he's wanted to grow that program just as big as the football team. But I think right now it's between Grambling and Southern and
I would say Southern. I'll go with Southern. I think Southern is it. Southern is it.
Grambling got them. Grambling got them last year, but I don't know.
Last year, yeah, but Southern
is hooping this year. I know how you roll though. I know you look at scores. You look at.
I do my research. I do my research, bro.
I know how you do it.
I do my research.
No, Southern is tough, bro. And
I look at common opponents, bro. I look at common opponents. I do all that. I crunch all that together. Like, so you're gonna have to
for sure, man. Yeah, Jack. I mean, I like Southern.
We'll see. I root for Mo. I root for Mo Williams though. I do. I root for him.
Mo Williams, he's done a good job with recruiting. He's also done a good job in having his team prepared. I always joke with you, like they almost beat Georgetown. They should have. They were up.
Oh, we're playing
by 8 late in that game.
They did,
and it's hard to close when you're playing against guys who have a physical presence on the inside that you just don't have. I mean, that's what happened to Grambling last year. They played Zach Edey. They competed. They were close at halftime, but you got a 7-2 dude on your team or 7-4, whatever.
We gotta see how when conference play starts for most of these teams though. Because some of these,
Thanks for checking in though, Mr. Brown. I appreciate
you, man. Appreciate you. Thank you.
For sure.
Really do. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you still geek from Jackson State winning the Celebration Bowl. A lot of folks are geeked from it. They still geek from it. And congratulations to Jackson State. We're going to have a Jackson State individual football player, starting safety. Asias Guthrie, he'll be on tomorrow. At 4. Well, I'm sure you're in Mississippi. Yeah, so 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So pull up. You know what I'm saying? Pull up. We're gonna represent y'all school. We got you. we got everybody out here, man. We got everybody out here. We repping. We rep it. We rep the area. We rep HBCUs out here on this side of town. But we appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate Coach Waterman. Before we end this pod Tuesday for NFL folks, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll have a Ravens versus Giants recap show. It will be streaming live on our YouTube, X, IG, and Facebook accounts. I'll have the homie DH as my guest co-host Also, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and other podcast platforms. Just search the Urban Sports Scene. Also, follow us on X at Urban Sports Scene, IG and TikTok at Urban Sports Scene. I like our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. If you're on YouTube right now, hit that red subscribe button, and also like this video. Does well for our algorithm for HBCU stuff. And our algorithm for HBCU stuff does pretty well, to be honest with you. But yeah, like it, subscribe. Appreciate y'all for tuning in though. Anyway, you've been listening to the Urban Sports Scene for ages. Yedig deuces. We are out.
Peace.